City,
Yes, please.
remind us the day's proverb, please.
Still from the Republic of Burundi.
Okay.
If you are dancing with your rivals, don't close your eyes.
If you're dancing with your rivals, please,
Tafadhali.
please, don't close your eyes. Don't. City, do you think Kenyans are being overly unfairly critical of the government?
No, they're not. In fact, they're not being critical enough. You ask me.
Really?
You see, when I say they're not being critical enough, we are reacting to the optics. We have this perennial problem, and man, they don't seem to be diminishing, they seem to be growing. And yet, when we look at the optics here, when we look at the Business Daily, we're looking at huge amounts of monies that for most simple folk like myself, I can't actually even fathom. The number of zeros involved are really very, very many. And you're saying this is the amount of money that is actually being allocated to the office of the two foremost chief executives that we have in the country. I asked this question earlier on, that if the price of, say, unga was at 50 shillings and the price of fuel was at 80 shillings, and this is the money that was being spent, would we kick a fuss? Would we complain? And the answer is no. Why? Because life would be affordable. It is the effrontery of it. Amidst what we now see, amidst the pain that is being felt, and the pain isn't a constant, it's an ever-increasing pain. We are being slapped in the face with huge amounts which are being said to be allocated to individuals who have the highest position in the country. And you're thinking, it is increasing. I thought the discussion was to decrease it because it's still expenditure. It doesn't matter how you look at it. So the optics, the reality that Peter keeps referring to may very well be there, but the optics are horrible. It's like you are spending money to do things that you think are important amidst all this pain and turmoil that we're actually experiencing. It speaks of insensitivity. It speaks of not really understanding that this is a sort of thing we do not need to be seeing. Okay? Now, the reality of investment that I keep being told about, fine. The question has to be asked, these investments we hear of a great many of them. Can we itemize the benefits that these investments have for us in the immediate term, mid-term, long-term, that sort of thing? Can we? We hear them. We hear the figures. We hear of the agreements. We hear all these things. How exactly do we benefit? Because how does that change my life today? How does that make my life improve today? And even as we think of the future, do painted a very good picture. Health, education, and you, Eric, mentioned security. Of what use is it getting all these investments when we have problems that we are actually supposed to be able to resolve internally, and all we see is those the problems increasing and not decreasing? So when we balance the pursuit of the investments and simply ensuring that our limbs are held intact together as a country, and we see that dissipating fast, and as it's dissipating, we're talking of investments. Can we also pursue how we can reinvest in our own industries that are clearly dwindling? And they're dwindling, why? Because of the same problem. Exactly.
You know, if I can see the correlation between, getting more investors into the country, opening up business that creates job opportunities, it creates, all these opportunities, it allows the government to earn more. You can see it. The question is, are they coming? Are we seeing more job opportunities being created? Are we seeing more investments opportunities being created in this country for both local investors and international investors? Because there are local investors who would be looking at they have ideas, they have ways in which they think they can finance, they can start a business. Are they being facilitated well enough to actually start those businesses? There are very many companies that are operating in this country. Are they, the factories that are here, are they operating at 100% of their capacity, or at least 80%? Many will tell you no. Many will tell you they're operating at 40% of their installed capacity. Why?
I think as I started at critiquing the government arm that is tasked with this kind of investment, when you go to Kenya Invest, there is an institution known as the Kenya Development Corporation, KDC, where I think a lady called Nora is the CEO. The work of KDC is actually, their canon duty is actually to support the local manufacturers and the local businesses. How do they do this? They have been given by law the authority to go and get money from someone who is in Belgium and wants to invest in Kenya. That someone doesn't need to come and start an industry. He comes and puts his money at the Kenya Development Corporation, and then Kenya Development Corporation will look at the viability business presentation by a Kenyan who wants to expand or who wants to start a new idea, and they would put that money there on behalf of that investors. One of the major problems, and I keep repeating here, is that when we fail to structure a communication mechanism that is able to reach these people, you have already failed in your responsibility as Kenya Development Corporation, because a producer who is producing yogurt in Limuru will not know that there is money at Kenya Development Corporation if Kenya Development Corporation does not announce that to Kenyans. In fact, I've realized that almost even the most eloquent and the most informed Kenyans I know don't know Kenya Development Corporation. They have zero idea that Kenya Development Corporation actually has money to be able to help local investors. You go to a place I went in Siaya where a local investor is producing barbed wire, nails and everything. He requires money. The Kenya Invest needs to pull up their socks and have an engagement that brings the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Kenya Development Corporation on one table, because the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce has the network of the manufacturers and the people who are doing business we are talking about. Most of them are their members. The Kenya Development Corporation has money from investors from outside. And if Kenya Development Corporation does not exercise its mandate, then we should see people getting fired or it being disbanded. Because the government has to own that responsibility, that even as we invite new investors to come and invest, are we addressing the issues affecting? Because today...
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is the president needs for the president to actually realize his dream of creating investment and expanding the tax net. He needs to crack the whip on some of these characters.
Is it misdirected focus or is it misplaced priority?
I think it is misplaced priority, if you ask me. Because
why? For lack of awareness, or is it deliberate?
You know, I saw the president the other day lamenting that he knows more than the people who are tasked with the responsibility of knowing more than him to be able to advise him. But I think, for me, if you ask me, in my most humble opinion, that this should go beyond more than just lamentation. It should go into a place of telling Joroge, you have been charged with this responsibility, you are not executing it, please go. But then, there's also the question is, if you have given Eric the responsibility to actually bring investment, there are two canon questions we need to ask ourselves. One, does Eric have the qualifications? Most likely that will be yes in everything, because these people go through a rigorous process. But then question number two is, does Eric have the space to actually execute his prowess in this matter? Because you will find that some of the people who are being given responsibilities in government are well qualified and within the capacity to deliver. But they do not have the opportunity and the leeway and the space.
Please explain that. I don't understand. If you've already been given a job, you have a mandate.
You see, let me tell you.
And you've been given the job by the president.
Let me tell you. You see, if today you make me your business manager, for instance, you have invited me to come and put your finances in line and tell you whether your trajectory is going up or it is going down. For me to be able to advise you accordingly on how you need to put your finances, you need to give me full access. True or not? True. Now this is the problem that is befalling this county, from national government to county governments. We hire Eric because he is a media consultant and he has the expertise and he has proven that he can do this job because there is things we can actually point out he has done. But when he comes to your company, you decide you are going to limit his access, you are going to limit his authority. How then do you expect Eric to actually give you sound, very well thought advices on how you need to move forward? That is one of the things that is.
How does this limitation of access manifest itself?
It is manifesting itself in today. Look at the president. The president is moving all over, almost doing everything. Today, it is the president that is going to check on the progress of government projects. Do you know whose responsibility that is? Government delivery services. But the question is that government delivery services really enabled to actually be able to do it? Because government delivery services is receiving money not to go and build houses or to go and put brick and mortar. They are being given money to go and actually oversight. That means if the president is going to actually be himself looking at the project, it is going to be double spending. Because there is someone else who is taking home a salary.
So why is the president doing
that is why I'm saying with a lot and tremendous respect that the president needs to crack the whip.
On who? On himself?
I don't know. But the truth of the matter is, you know what we have established?
If he is the head of
Eric,
government.
what we have established
if he is the head of government.
Yes.
And the reason why you're saying that those officers that have been given work are not doing because they have not been given operating environment.
Yes.
By the appointing authority, and then the appointing authority ends up doing the work himself.
This is what I'm saying. That is why I said from the word
the boss should crack the whip on himself.
That's the reason, and what I said, and I will repeat it here, is that His Excellency the President must allow something called statecraft to work if he is going to govern and be able to be seen to produce results. Because today, if Eric is complaining that you gave me this job and I have no space to work, as in, if today the finality of making a decision on how money is spent in a state department is the work of a PS, the permanent secretary, he's a chief accounting officer of the department. But you will find that between the PS and the minister, who are supposed to, the minister represents the what do you call it, the policy part of that ministry. The PS represents implementation. But when you fight between a PS and a minister, there are some other forces there that are not known. You can only say that the only person who can actually save himself from this embarrassment and save himself from this catastrophe that we are not able to implement what we have told Kenyans we will, it is the president himself.
Those two officers that you've mentioned,
yes,
are appointed not by any other person.
Yes.
By law.
Yes.
They are appointed by the president.
Yes.
They serve solely at the pleasure
of the president.
Now, if those two are being hindered from working by some external force, that external force can only have been placed there by the president.
I think I can only...
If there is any other body that could place that external force at such a high place, these two officers would be able to repulse it.
I think I can only...
The cabinet secretary
at that point, I can only be responsible for what I'm saying.
I only answer to one person.
Yeah, but
and
what
this person has not given me this instruction.
Yes.
And I don't know you. Get out of my office.
Yes.
If the PS and the CS cannot say that, it means that they know that this person also has the authority of the president.
So essentially,
is that what you're saying?
What I am saying is this. One, we established that there is a problem.
Yeah.
That one we have established. We have also established that this problem can be dealt at the root source, where the appointing authority stays, called the president. And I am saying that if these issues and the problems that we are facing today are going to be resolved, there is no other person that is going to resolve. I don't want to point fingers here, but I'm saying there is a problem, and we cannot hide our face under the sad that there is a problem. And this problem, the root source of these problems are coming from appointees of the president. And therefore, the only person who can actually provide solutions for this country, it is His Excellency the President. And I have said the whips needs to be cracked, because at the end of the day, the person who is going to be answerable to Kenyans is not the appointees. It is the president who is appointing. And this is the person Kenyans on last year went to the ballot and accorded him the privilege of serving them as their president.
Do you think he's aware of this problem, this rot?
I want to believe that my president is very intelligent. So there is no reason why he should not be aware of it.
So he's aware?
Yes.
He's aware of the problem.
Yes.
Do you think he's aware of the solution?
I also think he is.
Okay. So he's aware of both the problem
and the solution. As to the time frame on how he needs to deal with it, I cannot speak about it. But I want to believe that he was elected the president because I believe I elected a man that is intelligent enough to know there is a problem, and intelligent enough to know there is a solution, and intelligent enough to actually make sure that that solution comes. Maybe, only time.
That intelligence is where the problem
No. I'm not talking about. As I said again, I am only responsible for what I say.
Peter, in your capacity as a director of the Konza Technopolis,
yes,
has the board come across situations where they have purpose to do something, they've planned for it, maybe even have gotten funds for it, but then suddenly found that implementing it doesn't quite go the way they thought it would go?
Yes.
Precisely. Now, if that can happen at the level of the Konza, do you think that also at the national level, when it comes to government, you can have a situation where the president purposes certain things, he sets it in motion, even thinks it's going to work that way, appoints people and thinks it's going to work. Then when it comes to implementation, suddenly finds this thing isn't quite going the way I actually thought.
Yes, those situations will have, because let me tell you, an investor comes at Konza, tells you I want to invest 2 billion. But when you go at the stage where you do what is called the due diligence of that person, you will find that that person is not doing what they told you they do in their country. And you have a reason to believe they will not do what they are saying they will do in Konza, they will do with something else. And that is why I have said, one of the things, and I repeated here, and the president should and those who talk to him every day should be able to let the president know, the president has paid his political debts.
With his appointments.
But beyond paying the debt, there is that ability to execute the mandate that you have been given. And this is what I am saying, that at this time, His Excellency the President is, today if you look at the Kenyans, I think Sydney needs to go out there to know that Kenyans are critical enough, because we are moving right, left, and every center. Kenyans are critiquing how this government is working. And
this is the thing, Peter. And I think, again, here we are saying that, I mean, it's already been established. The president knows what he's doing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Made appointments, and says, okay, these people that I've put in these positions ought to be getting the job done.
Yes.
I don't care what you found there before. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're in the driving seat. After all, if you get into the carriage and you're now telling the horse to go in this direction, you're not asking that horse, where did you come from yesterday? You're saying, let's move. This is where we are going. But there's some fundamental things that if they're not working, one then must ask, why are we having a show? Essentially, we're just watching things happen or not happen. And why then do we see these things not happening in the manner in which we hope they should? And if these appointments were made and things under that ambit are not falling into place, then one who made the decision, why wouldn't they not be able to crack the whip and say, let's either get this thing done or you move? We're still dancing around issues, still courting the girl instead of saying, let's go.
I think you also need to give it to the president that Muchendu was given a job, and he has been given 1 year to actually show that he can do the job. And in 1 year, Muchendu performance is below par, then the only reasonable thing to do is to ask Muchendu to step aside and bring in people. The president has given the current people appointed 1 full year to actually put their house in order. And I am saying this without fear of compromise or whatever. For me, in my own humble opinion, it is time for the president to crack the whip. Because we cannot continue like this. Every day we come here, I am here with the 3 of you. There is not, this government...
There's nothing changing.
No. Again, I am responsible for what I am saying. I'm only responsible for what I say, not what Eric is saying. You see, it is not true that there is nothing happening in this government.
So what did you want to say?
There are things that could say. What I'm saying is, we have seen people in communication fail, because that we cannot hide under the face and say that the communication system in this government is working, because communication is communicating what government is saying. I've said this from the word go.
Okay.
If you miss it in communication, because this government, with all fairness, there are things that are happening, but those that are not happening have a very advanced effect on Kenyans that they are not able to see what is happening. That is the work of the communication to mirror to Kenyans what exactly is happening. That one, we need to look at it. Number 2, we also need to look at the most essential things that matters to Kenyans. Are they being handled in the best way? It is sad. It is becoming difficult for head teachers to manage schools.
It's not becoming difficult. It is impossible.
No. But you cannot say it is impossible because we have kids sitting. No. You cannot say it is impossible.
Sorry, Peter. On that one, I won't allow you to go beyond that one. Because, look, we're not talking about a situation whereby they can handle. We're talking about they have said with their mouths.
But they have been given...
Hold on. That it is impossible for them to continue. And what has happened as a result of that? That you have then seen an increase on the amount of money that parents have to bring to school. Why is that? Because they have not received capitation. It's very simple. We're not talking about a matter of maybe, perhaps. That is the situation. And what have they told us as of last week? Maybe you didn't know, but they told us as of last week, come January 2024, they've not been able to receive certain things. Suppliers have said they are not doing anymore. But it is not a matter of
but also you guys...
Peter, hold on.
Yes, you guys must execute the coin at both sides.
Peter, it is not a matter of they are managing. It is a matter of they have said very clearly they cannot do it anymore. And because of that, they've told it's either parents bring more money or we don't operate. It's simple.
You see, the reason I think for me that even as media, we also need to be true to ourselves. I would want us to have another discussion where I come with a very huge file of something called I'm looking for the wording that the Auditor General uses, management letters. When an Auditor General comes and does an audit in a school or in a government institution, before printing the final report, he sends a letter that is known as the management letter to every institution to actually show how he will tell you in that management letter, you said you spent 20,000 on this, but you did not provide evidence of receipting and everything. Today, as you actually sit here and we want our kids to go to school, Eric, let us have an honest conversation. Some of the most mismanaged money, and I will give you a list of management letters to institutions, head teachers, misusing money, capitation money. They cannot be able to explain to the Auditor General how they have spent money. And that then advises somebody that is called the controller of budget on how to release the money.
That's not the reason
no. Listen. I would want you to look at every single management letter
so you
that has gone out. It is public document.
You have information.
It is public. In fact, that is a public document.
Peter,
I am not in any way saying that should be the reason to actually mistreat our kids.
Are you saying?
Let me tell you. Look, one of the most misused money is capitation money.
It's a simple question, Peter.
Yes.
Are you saying the reason why money has not left Treasury for capitation is because
I'm saying with the same passion that you are fighting for this capitation to go to these head teachers and schools, with the same passion, let us ask them, why are they the people who have mismanaged the capitation money?
You should have been in the room when I'm here complaining about why do we have schools that don't exist in the system, in NEMI's system, whereby money is supposed to be paid to schools that don't exist.
That is what I have asked. I need to have the list of those schools that don't exist.
Peter, I need you to breathe for 2 seconds so that you don't have a coronary. Listen to what I'm saying.
Yes.
In as much as I'm saying at this point that it is absolutely necessary for capitation to go because that is your mandate. It is not a request. It is what you are constitutionally bound by to provide education for the country's children. I am also with the same passion and vehemence saying it is not possible to allow the kind of impunity and corruption that we see when it comes to mismanaging the NEMI system, whereby you now come and tell us that this school needs capitation, whereby it doesn't exist. I will be as passionate on both sides. However, I'm asking you a simple question, and it really requires a yes or no. Are you saying the reason why capitation as we see it today for third term has not been sent out is because there has been previous mismanagement of the capitation that was sent out before? Is that what you're saying?
It's part of the reason, I think.
That's the reason why?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yes. One of the common denominator in the management reports to institutions of learning, it is the misuse of that money together with the suppliers.
Let's take a break.
Even as you talk about government failing, which we cannot hide under the face, it is failing on its responsibilities. Let's not come and adore the heads of these institutions.
Those are government employees.
Yes. Let's talk about government. They are the people who are going out there to say that they are unable to manage.
Government elected
school
people, government school, government minister, government board.
Yes.
Government.
Then don't put them as the victim here.
Who?
The teacher.
The victim is the child. The victim is the children.
Yes, then
25 minutes to 10.
Let us quantify the problem in our capitation funding equally, and do not look like government is just failing, because the moment you can't actually say how you have spent your money, you have no right to ask for
what
more.
What is Peter Muchendu saying?
Peter, deep breath.
What are you saying?
Spice.
Continue.
Peter.
Yeah.
You said that. What happened? No, look, and I think that we need to take there's certain things that we need to be, really serious about and call out. You've said yourself, Peter, that it's necessary that the whip be cracked. For me, there's no reason why certain things should not happen. There's no explanation that we should be giving at this point where certain basic fundamental things are not happening, and if we can give excuses all day long, but it's very clear that if that whip that you talk about is not cracked, then things will not happen. But unacceptable as far as I'm concerned why certain things are not rolling out the manner in which they are. And the question then becomes, what needs to be done to make that happen? You yourself have said, if it's not happening, get these folks out of here and let's do something else. Let's get other people who will be able to come in and get it done. One wrong, two wrongs never make a right.
Yes.
They don't.
Yes.
And we cannot say that because this has been happening, therefore you will not do what is your duty in order of the law in terms of constitution and right is for children. And I continue to say, call it government, call it head teachers, call it Ministry of Education. The person who continues to suffer on a daily basis, when you look at education, for example, is the student, is that child who's supposed to be going to school. You don't do your medical services. The person who suffers is the one who is ill and walks into hospital today and does not get treatment. Not because it is not available, but because somebody doesn't want to make sure that the due diligence is not done. The person who unfortunately has to live in the forest because where they live, the insecurity is so high and nothing has been done about it. And then we ask ourselves, who is the victim? The country? The people are the victim. And my cry always is for the people to say, what happens to them? When we want to do this politics and run around and not want to call things out as they are, the children suffer, the sick suffer, the disadvantaged because of security, they suffer. And until and unless we put the value on those, we will be singing this same song forever.
I think it's also important when we talk about this issue. Let's also talk them from point of fact. Fact number one is that the government has released the entire 89.48 billion shillings meant for the 2022-2023 primary school education. 89.48 billion shillings for the financial year 2022-2023 has been fully released. Fact number two, from January to date where we are, the government has already disbursed $68 billion shillings for the education. And just to
Which
bring
education?
that is for the entire free primary school education this term. And I need for you to actually confirm if I'm telling the truth. This term, the government has released number one, 16.1 billion for JSS and 7.9 billion shillings for this term. That term has already been dispersed to schools.
Is that the full budget?
Yes. No.
It is not.
I am telling you.
So-
I'm telling you.
You're telling us. I'm just asking from
Yes.
what you're saying.
Yes.
What is the full budget for
The-
JSS for third term?
The JSS for that term, I think they have a deficit of about 2 billion, if I'm not mistaken.
What is the full budget for JSS for third term?
For the JSF? I don't know. I don't have the fact
Because
of
you're
the
saying
full budget.
Against
You know-
what has been released. Is
You know,
it-
I'm coming to the fact that the insinuation was
you need
that there
1,000
is no money that has been released for that term.
You need
No,
1,000 shillings for rent,
Yes.
for electricity,
Yes.
for this and the other.
Yes.
If I send 60 bob to you, can I sit back and say, but I've sent greater money for his upkeep?
You see, we are coming from, before we actually deviate from the very reason I have come with that fact. The reason I have sought for those facts from the Minister of Education, it is because the insinuation is that nothing has been released. And that is not factual.
You know what? The money that was released in third term was not for third term, and that's what you need to understand here.
This is what I'm asking you.
You need to get it.
Let
I
me
can
tell
send you money.
Let
I
me
can-
tell you.
No. Hold on.
Yes.
I can send you money today, and it is for this schedule. But I owed you money for second term. What do you think it's going to go to?
You see, let's
No,
be
it's a very
factual.
simple
Let's be factual. Point number one, the government has no
It's a
balance
simple-
for the government has no balance for the financial year 2022-2023.
Did you hear my question?
I am getting to answer your
term.
question.
Meaning
I'm
what?
getting to answer your question.
Meaning the government has no balance
the government,
for up
listen,
to
the
term
government
2.
does not have a balance for 2022-2023. How does our budget process
Which
work?
means no balance for term 1 and term 2.
That is what I'm saying. Term 2, part of term 2. Now, the reason why the government would accumulate balances at term 2, it is the basic and obvious reasons on how our budget system works. We pass our budget. We actually put it in our integrated financial management system for it to start functioning. And the process dictates that the balances that were in term 2 would be put forward into term 3. Now, if the argument is that we need to come up with better systems to ensure that there is no gap in funding, that is a discussion we can have. But we cannot, with all honesty, yes.
No.
No, why? You know.
The government.
Yes.
The government.
Yes.
Is the one that creates the academic calendar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It knows the academic calendar follows the calendar.
Yes.
A calendar year.
Yes.
And it also knows that it funds that calendar using the financial calendar.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So the government knows very well that I should not have any gap that interrupts services. Everything is funded using the financial calendar. But there's no time when you hear that salaries were delayed because, okay, you know, we're in June, July, now you're in the new financial
to the
year,
budget.
budget. We don't. Why should we hear this about education?
Are you aware?
Why should we hear
Are
this?
you aware because of the same things we also delayed salaries for this year, for that month?
It
you're
was
talking
not for
about?
that same thing.
No.
We were
What
told,
was it? Yes.
We were told by the government it was because of a cash crunch, because of paying loan. That's what the government said.
Yes.
That's why previous years we don't have a perennial problem.
Have we
funding government
allowed
operations in
ourselves before
July?
getting emotional about the subject, Eric? How much capitation deficit did the current government have? It would advise you to know why there is a delay in coming and fulfilling the actual capitation.
You can call it current government, you can call it previous government.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned,
Yes.
children are going to school.
Yes.
The government has said term 2 starts here, term 2 ends here. Term 3 starts here, term 3 ends here. By the time the schools are opening, you expect that all the money that is required to start that term should be in place.
That's what
At least
yes.
for the beginning. You know, you can say, let me fund you first of all for the first 3 weeks. And then by the time you get into the third week, I'll send you money for the rest of it. But that is the problem that we've been having with our education system. And that is why head teachers have been raising these issues. That is why the issue of school fees becomes a big issue. It's because of the delays in funding. It happens with the counties, it has happened with other sectors. But the issue is children that are opening school and going to school, should they be going through this inconvenience?
You see,
We can call whatever justification you want to call it.
No, it's
or whatever.
It is not justification. You see, the critic right now is on how this current government is actually handling education.
Yes.
You cannot be fair or be objective in critiquing what is the government is doing now without looking at what is the backlog that they have found on the education sector.
Okay.
There was look, do your simple look and look how much backlog of capitation that the current education State Department for Education has found in the school.
Okay.
And these are questions. If you remember at the questioning of Berio Kipsang when he was being appointed the PS Basic Education
For a second time.
These are the questions that were being asked by Parliament. Why do we have such a backlog on capitation? And today, the only backlog currently the government has is for that term.
And that's okay?
It is not okay.
Okay.
I have not said anywhere it is okay. But I'm just trying to have an objective criticism of government that, yes, we can have a discussion on the funding model of education that does not have a gap in funding. That schools or health or education needs to be seamless in terms of funding. Nobody should have an argument that it is based on the fact that there was no money or the budget process did and that. In that argument, we can have that argument. But for now, let's not just demonize this government.
Where did that term begin?
On the 9th of September.
In September.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is how many months into the new academic year? Into new financial year? July, August, September,
months, yeah.
the third month of the financial year. Why do we have a backlog? Was the budget passed?
Yes.
Was money appropriated for this?
Yes.
So why do we have a backlog?
You see, if you look at how the backlog from the previous government was structured in this new government, the government was very clear it is unable to clear that backlog at once. So, with the budgeting of the new academic year, they continue to clear the backlog that was there. That means that this would affect the actual full disbursement of this education. From next year, January, we are going to start without any backlog because the money that is remaining in this term is going to be paid together with the money that is going to start the next term.
Peter.
And the minister has and the PS have undertaken to do this
You know
before
what?
this year ends.
Can I surprise
Yes,
you?
you
Let
know.
me surprise you with something.
Yes.
In July this
Yes.
year, not 2017.
2023.
This year,
Yes.
the same people that you're speaking of
Yes.
also promised in 2 weeks' time,
Yes. Yes.
we are going to release capitation. By this time, we had come back from half term. We had come back from half term, well into
second
the
term.
of second term, into the term, and they were still talking about release of capitation. Now, what you're doing on their behalf is that you're promising so that everybody be very okay that, in fact, we have extra money. So come January, everything is going to be okay.
You know-
Hold on. Meanwhile, head teachers have already told us. You know what they've said? In 2024, we have no choice but to increase the school fees that you people will be paying, because we already know that we have some money that suppliers have run away from us. High cost of living. Hold on now. I don't know why you're
When
running.
you say the teacher will
So-
increase school fees,
They've
it's
already
whipping
told us-
emotions over nothing.
Why is it whipping
It's
emotions?
whipping emotions because the head teacher does not work outside the framework of the Minister of Education.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
The
that's
head
the
teacher
truth.
same
It is
one-
as simple
the
as
head
that.
teacher is the same
The head
one
teacher cannot introduce
P-
money that is not okayed by the Ministry
But
of
you
Education.
can.
You know, let us not live like we don't live in this country.
The same country that we live in.
You see,
Peter,
you see,
you know, even if
how
even
do
if-
we fund our development budget
Peter,
in the country?
Even if your voice raises to 100 decibels, it still remains the same thing here. That what we are talking about here.
but
Hold
you
on,
know-
just
you
hold
know,
on, hold on.
You
that in the
cannot whip
same
emotions
I'm not
without
whipping it.
taking people
I-
through the process
No,
on how we fund our
but the
development
truth,
budget.
This is not about whipping emotions. The truth of the matter is that
It's
the
whipping
children,
emotions,
no, it's
if you
no,
ask me.
No, it is a reality that if children show up to school, having not paid school fees, the head teacher says you go home. How is that whipping emotions?
You know, it is because there is an existing laws in the school that do not allow a head teacher to introduce
You
school
just said
fees.
we are living
That is-
in Kenya.
No, that's
They
what I'm
still
telling you. That's
happen.
what I'm telling you. Then don't come portraying head teachers as innocent and as holy as they are.
Who has
These are
done
the
that?
people who have misused this capitation.
Who has
It
done
is
that?
given, but they don't give it.
Who has
They want to whip
made-
the emotions. Let me tell you.
Who has made head
who's their
teachers look
supervisor?
angelic?
Yes. Let me tell you. How do we fund our development budget? The entire Ministry of Education is not funded by any donor. The money that goes to the Ministry of Education comes from something called the consolidated account, where every payment that we pay as tax goes. Now, when the money for tax goes to the consolidated account, the first withdrawal of that money goes into paying our external and internal debts that have matured. Then, the rest of the money is now used for the development budget, where the money for the Ministry of Education comes from. We are here as Kenyans. Last time we had a discussion on how we are overtaxing Kenyans. Then the Kenya Revenue Authority, because of the uproar that we gave as a country, has missed its target by quite a huge chunk of money. But we don't want to go through that process on why the Ministry of Education is not able to meet its responsibilities, because the Ministry of Education receives money from Exchequer, and that is from the consolidated account, where that consolidated account is fed by money collected by KRA, which we have incited Kenyans not to pay tax, and KRA has missed its mark. But we want to come here, whip emotions, the government is not going to do this, is not doing this.
You are
But we do
creating
not
a
want to
false
explain
impression.
the process to people.
You're
And when you
creating-
say that
So,
the head teachers have said they
stop,
will increase school
stop.
fees.
Your mic is
under
off.
which law?
Your mic is off. So stop. So first of all, the Kenya Revenue Authority is not collecting zero tax. The Kenya Revenue Authority is collecting tax. Are we together? The amount of money that they told us that they've collected in the first quarter of this year is more than they collected in the first quarter of the last financial year. So they're collecting more, even though they are short of the target, which was an extremely overambitious target. But let's not go into that argument. Sawa. The Ministry of Education, like all other ministries, are financed from the National Treasury and their programs, and they follow a laid-down budget. The budget for the Ministry of Education is the highest after we come from security-related matters. It's highest. And we all know why. We have free basic primary education, free day secondary education, and also other support that goes in, and that's where the capitation comes in.
Yes.
And money is to be released to finance these operations. And that's why the minister keeps saying, do not increase school fees because the money is coming. Okay?
Yes.
Now we are all in this country. Has there been delays and consistent delays in disbursement of this money that's supposed to be supporting our education? You and I have said, yes,
Yes.
there has been.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, is that delay justified? That is where now we come in. You say the delay we can understand, but we are saying, why should children understand a delay that affects the quality of education that they're receiving? This is where the issue is.
Yes.
If we say that we have closed that term,
Yes.
and the money that should have been used to finance that term was not sent to the schools, how do we expect that the schools have operated in that term? Which means that when we start January, the money they will receive is to pay back for the arrears of that term, not to support them to finance first term of 2024. Is that how our system is structured? It's not. So why are we here? Those are the questions we are asking. So if we remove the emotion and all, and just be very objective and say, is this how it should be?
Yes, let me tell you. When we said that we are giving the Ministry of Education 628 billion in this financial year because that is the share they are going to have, that share is based on a budgeting process that starts, as I said, in February. It is based on what the finance bill is proposing to correct. We have given money to other state departments and everything. So when KRA misses its revenue, intended revenue correction, its mark, because it is Kenya Revenue Authority that advises on the finance bill on how much they intend to correct. When they miss their point, it means that every single state department will also miss.
And that is when you have such a situation, even in your home, Peter, you then start prioritizing.
And that is
am I going to fuel the Mercedes?
That is what I'm saying.
Or am I going to take a matatu? Am I going to buy nyama or am I going to buy sukuma? What is our priority as a country? If the highest item is education.
It is boiling down to how you people structure your reporting. The reporter at the Business Daily has opted to look at the 750-something million being given to the Deputy President, but in that supplementary budget okayed by the Cabinet.
Actually, it's the Deputy President's spouse.
Spouse, whichever the case. in that Cabinet, in that supplementary budget that was okayed by Cabinet about 3 weeks ago or thereabout, there is reallocation of money to ensure that that deficit at the Ministry of Education is taken. Please,
the problem is not deficit. The problem is sending the money.
No, that is what I'm telling you. That is what I'm telling you. No.
We'll see you tomorrow. It's 10 a.m. Time for us to leave.
That is what I'm telling you. Look at the supplementary budget critically.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.